Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really eager to get started because you are in for a treat today with a great presentation. I'm sure I know most of you, but if not, my name is Jill Kagan, and I am the director of the Arch National Respite Network and Resource Center. We won't have time for everyone to introduce themselves individually, but please feel free to say hello in the chat and put your name, what agency you're with, and what state you're from. That would be really helpful to us. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I have a few slides and announcements before we introduce our presenter. Just a quick overview of today. We're going to start off with a few quick announcements from Arch, and then move on to learn about the RAVE program in Northern Nevada. RAVE is an acronym for Respite and Volunteer Experiences, and I'm really especially excited to have them here today. For those of you who know my own background, I started my career in the early days working for Congress for the Select Committee on Children, Youth, and Families. And one of the first legislative successes I had was a very small respite and crisis nursery program that gave funding to states to start new respite programs for children. And this program was one of the very early grantees and benefits of that legislation, and they're still around. And so I'm just really excited to have them here today. They're a long-standing program that's been around for nearly 30 years, and they've led the way in demonstrating how to use young volunteers to support children and youth with disabilities while providing respite for their families. And we have so much to learn from their long history, especially how they've really expanded their reach in recent years. Just make note that after the formal presentation, we will have some time for questions for the speakers, and hopefully maybe a little bit of time for updates from all of you about your own work in volunteer and faith-based respite. And again, please feel free to put your questions in the chat at any time, and we'll get to them following the presentation. Before we get started, I wanted to give you an update on Arch's recognized innovative and exemplary respite services. Quite a few of them are faith-based or volunteer, and I want you to know that this program exists because each year for the last 4 years, we've put out a national call for services that meet our selection criteria to be recognized by Arch as an innovative and exemplary respite services. And the application for that is opening for 2024 programs will be opening on September 1st and will close on October 15th. So make note of those dates. Through this initiative, by recognizing high quality respite services, we really hope to encourage more research on specific well-defined respite models, as well as encourage all of you around expansion and replication of these models. In order to apply, each respite service must meet a very stringent set of criteria for selection and just overall be an outstanding program that addresses the needs of either family caregivers of children, of adults, and or of older adult family members. And as I said, many of those that have been selected up until now are volunteer or faith-based initiatives. So I hope that those of you who have well-established services will consider filling out the application once you review the pre-application checklist to make sure you qualify. If you meet the criteria and are selected, we display your program on the Arch website. You'll receive a small honorarium and have permission to display that logo that you see on the slide. And you can use that logo for fundraising or other promotional or on other promotional materials. We are going to hold an informational session in early September. If you want to get more information or have an opportunity to ask questions about the application, or you can also visit the link that you see on the slide. And in just a minute, I'll put that link in the chat as well, so you'll have ready access to it. Another initiative under our innovative and exemplary respite services, this year, in lieu of selecting a cadre of new programs, instead, we invited our current innovative and exemplary respite services to apply for an evaluation mini grant to undertake a 12-month evaluation with technical assistance from ARCH, with the goal of being able to demonstrate after that time the value of the service to caregiver wellness and overall family well-being. And the programs that were selected, we selected 4 programs, and you can see which 4 programs they were on the screen. They meet monthly in a learning community to help them develop their evaluation plans and logic models and select outcome measures and tools. And at the end of 12 months, they'll be required to prepare a very short final report or a data brief for presentation to this network and to others that we work with on the national level. Again, among the goals for this evaluation initiative is to help these programs in particular demonstrate the value of their services to partners and funders. They can use that data to help promote their own programs, but also to create a simple evaluation model that can be used by other programs and services, such as the ones that you may offer or provide support to. So we're really excited about this initiative, and they're about halfway through, a third to halfway through their evaluations. So by next summer, we should be hearing a lot more about the outcomes of this effort. I am more than excited today to introduce you to someone many of you probably already know because she was a longtime member of our network, Jennifer Abernathy. Jennifer is going to be representing ARCH as a facilitator of both this learning collaborative and the Respite Voucher Learning Collaborative. In fact, when Jennifer was working as a partner with the state of Tennessee on a lifespan respite grant as the director of the Tennessee Respite Coalition, she also served as one of the first peer leaders of the ARCH Respite Voucher Learning Collaborative. So she is no stranger to our work. She was at the helm of the Tennessee Respite Coalition when they co-hosted our National Lifespan Respite Conference with ARCH in Nashville back in 2014. So we have a long history with Jennifer. We're just so excited and pleased to welcome you back, Jennifer, and for coming on board with ARCH. And now I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce our wonderful speakers today and to facilitate the rest of the meeting. So take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Jill. I appreciate the warm welcome and reintroduction to people that I know, and new introduction to people that have come to the network after I left the Tennessee Respite Coalition. So very excited to be a part of ARCH and be able to help with these learning collaboratives. So today, really excited, as Jill was talking about, to have the RAVE Family Foundation present to us. Korine is the executive director and Jada is the director of programs. And they're both going to be here and present to you so that you can learn more about this outstanding program and the history and where they are going next. So I am now going to turn it over to RAVE.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We'll get our screen share going here. Can everybody see that? I see that.
Yes, we still got the black boxes, but there's nothing we can do about that, apparently.
Okay. I think it's on the bottom though, right?
Now it's gone. It's coming and going.
Oh, it's gone. Okay, well, hold on.
Now it's gone.
Our computer's going rogue. So my name is Korine Viehweg. I am the executive director for the Northern Nevada R.A.V.E. Family Foundation. I became a respite provider more than 17 years ago. And then I stepped in as the director of programs for 6 years. And in September of 2012, I accepted the position as the executive director. In that time, it was really important to me to show growth, changing of the guards when you take over a nonprofit. Unfortunately, we lost some funding or had some reduced funding. And so it was really important to me to provide and show the need for what we were doing. We were a 6-month program at the time. We were serving about 83 children annually. And our organization has now been a 12-month program for almost 17 years, 10 years. And we are now serving over 500 children here locally in Washoe County. And we are also expanding out into some rural areas. So the organization itself has grown by more than 500% in the last 10 years.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jada. I'm the director of programs at RAVE. I've been with the organization for 7 years now. My story is a little bit different. I started as a volunteer my freshman year in high school and then have slowly grown with the organization. I'm currently obtaining my master's in special education, and so it's my personal goal to provide optimal and quality care for our kids that come to our center, but also to inspire the youth like I was inspired when I was a volunteer.
So the Northern Nevada R.A.V.E. Family Foundation now provides services in Reno, Sparks, Carson City, and Elko, Nevada. RAVE is an acronym for Respite and Volunteer Experiences, and we provide the gift of time. And we want to, at this time, share a video that actually helps us to tell this story. So I'm going to hit stop for a minute. I'm going to start our video, and then we'll get back to our slides.
Has been with RAVE for about 18.
Can everybody hear this?
My family has been
Yes.
with RAVE for about 18 years. And I was lucky enough to get invited to a parent meeting. And there they had RAVE and a representative, Ricky Robb, who said they had a nonprofit and what they wanted to do was watch our kids for us for free. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, but do you know that our kids are really, really hard? It takes a lot just to keep them safe and alive. And she's like, nope, we've got it. And that's how we started with them 18 years ago. My boys are 21 now. And we've done a lot of things with RAVE over the years. And at first, it was the 3-hour drop-off that was so important because it was the only break my husband and I got. And we've been married 31 years now. And it has been a struggle to have twins with autism. Most people don't get it. And the other thing is, as they grow older, then it's even harder to take them out in the public. You get judged so harshly by people they don't understand. And so to have the teen RAVE that takes them to activities and have the support that we need for them to participate is just everything to me. They've only ever been to the water park here twice, and that was both times with RAVE.
When we talked to early intervention, they mentioned Northern Nevada R.A.V.E. And she's like, give them a call. They'll be able to help you with whatever you need. We were a little hesitant just because we just recently got diagnosed and, you know, it's such a hard time already. So when we came down, Melvin instantly, like, it was home. Like, it was his first time walking in, and they just played with him and talked to him, and it was just like our first visit. And it was just such a life-changing experience because, you know, we just went through this traumatic diagnosis and dealing with all the doctors and everything like that, and then to find a place like that, it was great. So the first time we came to RAVE, we were very hesitant. And they told us that we could sit inside with him or, you know, just sit in the parking lot if we needed to. They were very comforting with us. And we actually sat in the parking lot and cried for the first, our first visit. And when we went to pick up Melvin, they told us that he had so much fun. It was just great because it was a place where we could drop them off and not have to worry. So we've been with RAVE for 4 years now. And I don't even know where we would be without it. My boys call this their friend's house. This is their favorite place to be. My son Melvin wants to live here. And every time you walk in the door, the staff is so kind, and you can tell they truly care about your kids. As, you know, a parent of a special needs kid, you don't get that experience everywhere. We can't go to the grocery store or to the movies. And when John was starting pre-K, no one would take him because as soon as they hear that your kid has autism, nobody wants to watch them. So as parents, you have to give yourself up. I gave up my teaching career to stay home to take care of them because nobody else would. And so when they both got to come to RAVE, it was their break and mine. Melvin was nonverbal. And as he became to RAVE, he started to talk more and make friends, and we got to see relationships blossom. We've had play dates and just really grown as not only like a family, but as people, because they get to be independent in a place where I don't have to worry that if they have a meltdown, I'm gonna have to come pick them up, or a place where, you know, they're not wanted. This is their home, and, you know, I couldn't imagine where we would be without it. So we never used to get date nights. We've been married 8 years, and we had Melvin after 3 years of marriage, so it was just taking care of him. And so we use that to go on dates, build our relationship. I'm also a full-time student, so I use that to be able to do homework, or sometimes it's just as simple as getting to go to the grocery store without having to worry about, is Melvin gonna be okay? Is John gonna have a tantrum? And it's just little things like that that is just that moment to breathe. Because as a special needs parent, you're on call 24/7. You don't get a break. And while, you know, people can look at the kids and be like, oh, you know, it can't be that bad. You don't know until you've experienced it.
It's definitely something that, I mean, having kids is hard, and having kids with special needs is really, really hard. And trying to manage all the stress that goes along with making sure that they're okay every day. And still able to be happy and to thrive. When Aiden was about 18 months or about 2 years old, I had a social worker that was really awesome, and she reached out to me and let me know that there was this place called RAVE, and that they had the ability to help give us a little bit of a break. And so I immediately jumped on that and filled out the application. And the first time we came, it was amazing. We felt like it was an extension of our family. And I instantly trusted all the volunteers and everything, because I knew they had been trained to deal with kids with special needs. And so it was really, really comforting. And it was awesome to be able to, for Aiden to get a break from the medical appointments and the constant worrying about his health, and for me to be able to get a little bit of time to care for myself too, so that I could come back and be a better caregiver and be a better mom to all of the kids. There are so many resources that are available for families, but RAVE by far is one of the most important, for sure. One of the things that was really amazing to me, there was one night actually where we came to RAVE, and when we were driving here, Aiden was doing some funny things in the car, but I was just kind of keeping a close eye on him and making sure that he was good. And when we got to RAVE, he was behaving normal. After I left, probably about 5 or 10 minutes later, RAVE actually called me. One of the volunteers called me and said that Aiden was acting funny, and he was actually having a seizure. and they knew right away. They knew because they know him. And so they were able to address it quickly. And they knew exactly what they needed to do to help him. And they stayed with him the whole time. And it was just like such an amazing thing for me that they knew. They knew the second it started happening, like I would know as a mother. And I've never had an experience like that where people and volunteers knew because they loved and cared about my kid as much as I do. And that's what makes RAVE special. And that's what makes it important. I've gone to see movies before, and I've gone out to dinner, even just by myself. And it's like the best thing ever. And so it's those little moments where I can like do the things that I wouldn't normally do having 4 kids. And there have been times where I just sit in a little cafe and I read a book, but it's like super peaceful and it's calm, and I know that my boys are being taken care of just like I would. And so I'm really, really grateful for that. And then when I come back, they're excited to show me their artwork. They're excited to show me the things that they made and the things that they did. And I really love too that the volunteers have been doing these little cards talking about what each boy did during the night and what they were playing with or accomplishing and stuff. And it's really exciting for me to read those notes at the end of the night to see what they did and how much fun they had too.
Can you tell me what's your favorite part of RAVE?
My favorite part is probably the games. Me too. You got to be kidding me.
What do you want people to know? Because you're going to be on a video. So what do you want the world to know about RAVE?
So I want them to know that it's a really good place. Yeah, and you gotta go there.
Sorry. Wrong pause. Stop share. All right. So we are back here. We just could not share that video, sharing what out of the mouths of our parents, and they tell the story so much better than any of us ever could. RAVE, we received that grant, which is so very cool, that this connection that's happening today with Jill. In 1992, we received a 3-year grant, and it became so popular that we became our own 501c3 in 1995. And we have been a driving force in our community for almost 28 years. And we like to say that we give our families the gift of time. Our mission is to improve the well-being of families in Nevada by providing free respite care, a much needed break, to caregivers of children and young adults with special needs. This will include the children with disabilities, autism, special health care needs, children with mental and behavioral health concerns, children in foster and adoptive care, and their typically developing siblings who reside in the home. We accomplish this in part, but in a major part, by training youth volunteers in the care of our exceptional children. We have 3 dynamic programs. We have the RAVE Family Center, Junior RAVE and Teen RAVE, and we also provide some voucher reimbursement to help families that are unable to get to our facilities. And one of our families quoted just this last survey, "Our son really enjoys his time with the RAVE team. While we are spending some time to ourselves, it's nice to know he's having fun while we are having fun too." The benefits of respite care, as you all know, is really to reduce stress. So we are giving parents a break while providing their children a safe, fun, social environment while training local high school youth in that break. We're hoping to reduce stress in the home. We're hoping to keep families intact for longer and hopefully keeping them out of place care facilities for as long as we possibly can. We have the RAVE Family Center, like I said, serving children 3 months through 7 years. This program is provided at the RAVE Family Center here in Reno, also in Elko and in Carson City. We have a satellite location that provides services to the same age range, which Jada will talk about in a little bit. And we provide those services during weeknights, weekdays, and Saturdays. We have our Junior and Teen RAVE Center, which we started in the summer of 2019. and we started that right before COVID. And it actually was a saving grace because our programs for the juniors and teens that are 7 to 12 and 13 to 22 actually we're only out in the community. So that's a community-based program where we go rock climbing or bowling. We've done cooking classes and art classes. We've gone to see movies as a group. And without having a center to call home for them, if we wouldn't have been able to serve that age group for the entire time that the community was shut down.
So jumping into our sessions, we are open Monday through Thursday for our evening sessions. We have 4 sessions in the PM for our RAVE Family Center and our Junior and Teen Center. And then our RAVE Family Center has our morning sessions as well, and those are Tuesdays through Thursdays. And then in addition to that, we are open at the Rock Church on Tuesday nights as well. And then we are open Saturday. We have our morning sessions at the RAVE Family Center and the Junior and Teen Center. And then PM sessions at the RAVE Family Center, Junior Teen Center, and the Rock Church. And then like Korine mentioned, we go on monthly outings on our Wednesdays where we take our kids out into the community as a group. In addition to that, we have our local satellite sites. So I kind of touched on the Rock Church. We are there Tuesdays and Saturdays. We also have our respite voucher program. This is a reimbursement program for families who are unable to make it to our center. So we provide them a reimbursement program so that they can still receive the well-needed respite. And then we are also in Elko. We're utilizing the Head Start building Tuesdays and Saturdays. And then we just branched out to Carson, and we are using the Boys and Girls Club, and we are there Thursdays and Saturdays as well. So these are our young children and young adults of RAVE. We provide respite care for a variety of children with a variety of different disabilities and special health care needs, some of which include cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, autism, speech delays, and so much more. We serve in foster care and adoptive care, and there is a multitude of other children that we serve as well. And we also take their typically developing siblings as well, so that the caregivers can get a complete break, and we get to hang out with their awesome kids. So we have a quote here that says, "RAVE is the only place that I know my children are safe and happy to be at always. The staff is amazing and caring. There's no place like RAVE." In addition to our kids, we have some really awesome youth volunteers. So we recruit youth volunteers from 6th grade all the way through 12th grade. We ask them to commit to 4 to 8 hours monthly, and we're very flexible with their schedule. They are assigned to a team. So this is one of our teams shown. And they get to provide one-on-one time for our kids that come to our center. And they do this through play. So we are very child-centered. They get a buddy for the night, and they're just their wingman best friend for 3 hours. And they just do a lot of play and activities. And that one-on-one time not only changes the lives of our families and our children, but our volunteers as well. Many of them say that RAVE is their respite for the week as well, and they can't wait to come back to their team each and every week. And so this is a review from our volunteers. It says 5 stars, a great way to connect with the people in your community and learn from the people around you. Made me break out of my comfort zone and help others, and I have 0 regrets. So in addition to our volunteering, we do recruitment, training, and recognition. So we recruit them through the schools. We go into leadership or human development classrooms and we present, and then they come and we do a scheduled training for a week. And so they come, we teach them about how to read our files and simple strategies to work with our kids, little activities and games that they will learn and interact with as they come to our sessions. And then throughout their time here, we do little recognition. So they get little RAVE swags here and there. We do volunteer shout outs weekly. And then at the end of the year, we do a huge volunteer ceremony where they get their certifications and additional gifts. And we get to spend a couple hours just recognizing them as a whole. So this is some of our volunteers, as I was talking about. They get some RAVE swag. So we have some jackets that we hand out to them. We give them water bottles. We do volunteers of the month. So our volunteers get to vote and our staff gets to vote on who was exceptional that month. And we give them a little treat and write them messages home. In addition to our youth volunteers, many of them learn so many skills that ends up changing their lives. Many of our volunteers have decided to go into the special education field or speech pathology or work with kids with disabilities in a related field. A lot of our RAVE staff are former RAVE volunteers, in addition to that going into programs that continue to provide to the children that we serve. So it's a full circle moment for us for sure. And so this kind of goes into our why. The reason we do this is the needs across the state of Nevada. Korine briefly touched on it, but there are 61,000 children eligible for our services across the state of Nevada, and that is not including their siblings. So we have a huge need that is here. In addition to that, it's our youth volunteers. They get a sense of belongingness and a sense of community built, and we also get to teach them some really awesome lessons to hopefully inspire them as they walk out of our building to use those skills in the community around them as well.
So RAVE is powered as a 501c3 nonprofit. We are looking at state grants. We aren't currently federally funded, although we have received a federal grant in the past. Primarily, we write local foundation grants. We do fundraising. We accept corporate gifts, business sponsorships, private donations. And we're marketing to Nevada families, those who have children and young adults with special needs, volunteers 6th through 12th grade, but we don't stop there. We've added college opportunities as well as community members, and they can come and work with us. We strive to have a 1-to-1 ratio so every child has that special time and attention. We're always looking for community partners for program sponsorships, event sponsors, auction raffles for our upcoming events, and in-kind givers who will donate goods and services to individual donors. We are also looking for grant opportunities, community members who might want to learn more about RAVE, individuals looking to join a board or a nonprofit committee, or anyone looking to join our RAVE team. Here's our golf tournament coming up on August 25th. This will be our 7th annual, but our very first one actually came and was held in 1997. We didn't even know that until we found some scrapbooks when we were looking through for our 25th anniversary. And so we brought back the name RAVE Invitational Golf Tournament, and now we'll be having it for the 7th year. Our evening to rave about was started, and we raised $5,000 the first time we had this event. And this last year, we raised $115,000 net dollars for our organization. Our next event will be on the 16th or the 13th of April for our 16th anniversary at the Grand Sierra Resort. And then lastly, we just want to read a quote that really says it all. Jada's going to do that.
It says, our family has been incredibly grateful for the respite care services that we have received through RAVE. As parents, we often find ourselves overwhelmed and exhausted trying to balance work, household responsibilities, and the needs of our children. The RAVE program has provided us with a much needed break and allows us to recharge and take care of our own well-being. Knowing that our children are in a safe and capable hands has given us such peace of mind. The volunteers have been wonderful in creating a nurturing and stimulating environment for our children. They have taken the time to understand understand their unique needs, interests, and routines, ensuring a seamless transition and continuity of care. RAVE has not only benefited us as parents, but also has benefited our children. It has provided them with an opportunity to socialize and interact with other children in a supervised and supportive setting. We have noticed improvements in their social skills, independence, and overall well-being. I cannot express enough gratitude to the RAVE program and the dedication caregivers have made a positive impact on our families' lives. The support and understanding they have provided has been invaluable. We highly recommend respite care for any family in need of a helping hand and a much-deserved RAVE break.
And that is our presentation. Now we are open for questions.
There is.
Great. Does anybody in the group have any questions? A lot of information.
Korine, this is Cheryl Donnell. I think maybe some of the people in the group would really benefit from, how did you break into Elko, a very rural community, from Reno across the state? What were the steps that were required in order to break into that? Where were your connections and how did you find them?
Yeah, so actually RAVE has been modeled 3 different times. And unfortunately, all 3 of those models have failed. And one of those models was in Elko. In 2015, we wrote for our state grant, like we always do every couple of years. And the Elko program also wrote for that grant. And that year they had changed a ton of different things with their grant, how it was read and written and all of these things. And to be completely honest and transparent, both our program and their program missed the boat. Their program received 0 funding that year, and we received only $42,000. We now receive almost 300,000, so the difference there is quite significant. So we had a little in, because at that time when they shut their doors, they actually reached out to us and said they were closing, and they donated their remaining $7,000 to our organization to continue services. I found out this year, as we were celebrating our 15th year Evening to Rave About event, I met with Ricky Robb and we did a small video chat time together. And she had said that we had actually donated their first $7,000 to the Elko. And I don't think that really came up, not from those that donated it back. I don't think that was part of the story, but it was an awesome part of the story. So what we did was, it was very important for me because of watching their program close. It really made me put some spice into me that as soon as we had the ability to get that program back up and running, we wanted to do that. So we started writing our state grant with the effort to do outreach throughout Nevada. And our first pop-up would be in Elko. And so in November of 2021, we were able to do that. And Elko was it was a hard nut to crack. In fact, I went there many times and they would say to me that they would believe it when they saw it. And so we just had to show them that we were really coming, we were really opening, and we were really going to be there to provide those services. Hiring the right people, we've hired several amazing women in Elko, but we've also had a lot of transition there as well. And so it has not been easy, but I have become very fond of Elko, and Jada has some family in Elko. So we have some roots there. And our newest director of programs in Elko has been doing a fantastic job. She just graduated with her social work degree from the University of Nevada, Reno. And we're just working on continued growth. In fact, we more than doubled our services from November 2021 to June of 2023. So.
Wow, that is wonderful. And just for everybody on the call, it might not be familiar with Nevada geography. How far is Elko from your main center?
It's about 4 hours. So it's definitely not easy to go and rescue. Where Carson City actually has been a much harder transition. It's been very hard to find qualified staff. And so our Reno Spark staff have been maintaining our Carson City location. Thankfully, that drive is only about 30 minutes.
That's great. Thank you. And we did have a question in the chat. What is your annual operating budget?
Well, so our budget this year is just over $1 million. But it's a stretch from our last year's budget was just over 850,000. So in the last 10 years, though, we have gone from a $250,000 budget to just over $1 million. And I won't call us $1 million organization till the end of this year, but as soon as we reach those financial levels, then I'll be able to report back on that. We definitely believe that we are running $1 million organization. Now we just need to make sure that we have the funds to do so.
Great. And I know one question that came up for me when you're talking about your volunteers, that you have it open to college students and community volunteers. Do you do any kind of background checks for, I don't know, you might do background checks for the high school students too. So what kind of procedures do you have in place for that?
Yeah, so all of our volunteers that are out of high school and over the age of 18 do go through a background check before they volunteer with us. That includes our college interns, anyone who is over the 18. Prior to that and still in high school, they do not get background checked. However, we treat them like practicum students. They are with us at all times. They are always under supervision and training with our respite staff. All of our respite staff have gone through a full background check, federal background check with a sheriff's card or a license. And we are really strict on not leaving volunteers alone with children at any point of their session time. We do provide one respite staff to every 5 children currently, and then those volunteers are paired underneath those respite supervisors.
That's great, because I remember when Jada and I spoke in planning the program that the goal is definitely to have like a 1-to-1 child to volunteer ratio. So how hard is it to accomplish that and keep that ratio?
Well, when we were only doing a 6-month program with 78 sessions a year, it was extremely easy. Last year we gave in Washoe County 677 respite sessions. It has become much harder to provide a 1-to-1. However, we have the majority of our respite sessions are a 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 ratio, but that does include our staff as well. So bodies in and working with the children, most common are 1-to-1 or a 1-to-2, but we don't have worse than or a 1-to-5 ratio. So always 1-to-5 or better, most commonly 1-to-1 or 1-to-2.
Great. Any other questions from the group? I know we've got a lot of people on today that were interested.
This is Jill. I have a million questions, but I want to make sure that our participants have a chance to ask them first. Anyone else want to unmute yourself and ask a question or put it in the chat, whatever makes you more comfortable?
Hi, this is Nicole Crump. I'm from Kansas, and we also have a lot of really rural places here. And speaking as both a caregiver of a medically complex child and also someone who's professionally trying to establish respite through the large hospital that I work for. I just want to applaud you on the amazing work you've done. This is so cool to learn about, and I'm really inspired and getting a lot of good ideas. So thank you, thank you. Really curious about any training that your high school volunteers pursue, or if it's just that they're under the supervision of a trained staff, or if they get any independent training.
Yeah, I'll let Jada take that part.
Yeah, so we do a week of training. So we close our sessions for a week, and then we provide hands-on training for 4 hours with them. So we teach them the basic skills that help us when working with our kids. So they learn how to broadcast, they learn what purposeful play is, they learn simple redirection, any little tricks and tips like that. And then we also just do like role-playing situations where I'm gonna act like a kid and you gotta keep my attention. And so then we give them feedback that way as well. And then we establish community bonding. Most of their training is hands-on training in the moment with their staff. So they get the oversight of a staff as well, with a specific kid learning a specific skill or trick, depending on what session comes. It looks very different. There's so many skills to learn here, so we can't kind of bottle them up in one simple training. So we do a simple overall training, and most of their training comes hands-on in session with their staff.
We've added some things though too. So we now have some trackers that at the end of every session, they are going over a tracker and what are the skills that they learned that day. That helps them to really walk out of here feeling like they did more than just provide childcare. So trying to have high school and the junior high kids, they're easy peasy. They're here to play. They are just like all in. High school students sometimes will get that little bit of like, well, you know, if I'm doing the job kind of thing. And so we want them to know that they are really truly learning and developing and preparing themselves for a future job, or where they might go for college and what they might be interested in. And Jada can share that we've had many students actually choose their major based on their experience with RAVE, and some of them have changed their major because of their experience with RAVE.
Yeah, it's incredible. And then in addition to that, it's just little simple things that they're learning. So just recently I had a volunteer, she has a child with autism in one of her classes, and she was like, I was so confident to go up and use his AAC device because you taught me how to use one, and now we're best friends and I know how to talk to him. So they're taking the skills they're learning here and then applying it into the community and being able to just share the inspiration and skills that they're learning here with the community around us, which is incredible.
And we are hoping that we're creating those allies throughout the school district and beyond, and just giving them that exposure and experience working with all types of individuals, and really all age types as well. So
That's awesome. Thank you. And a quick follow-up question, and then I will try not to hog this. I'm so sorry. I'm just so curious. With the training that you provide, can you remind me, you may have already touched on it, the respite staff themselves that are employed and on payroll, what the professional backgrounds of those individuals are? Like, do you have psychologists and speech language pathologists and all that, those kind of folks on staff, or who is the training coming from, I guess?
So we work directly with High Sierra Industries to do a lot of our trainings. They have a clinical team of BCBAs. They have kind of some different outlooks on that. They're an amazing team that has been working very closely with us as we grow and expand. We actually live within their building now. We took over 6,500 square feet and moved both of our programs under their roof. And we meet with that team once a week to go over strategies. And then we bring those same strategies to our respite staff. And our respite staff come with a variety of backgrounds. They're actually work in the education system. They are developmental specialists. They are speech pathologists. They are students at the university going looking to have this be part of their major. So it just really varies. And we invite all kinds of special guests to come in and help provide some of those trainings and real life experiences. And then we really tailor our programs to the children that we serve. And so we do an evaluation on all of our kids that enter the program. And at that point, we are, you know, we are really becoming the experts of the children that we are providing the care for.
As a follow-up to that, I'm sorry, were you still talking?
No, sorry.
As a follow-up to that training question, I'm particularly impressed that you're able to use volunteers when you're dealing with some fairly difficult populations of kids with autism, kids with behavioral issues, kids with medical complexity. I mean, these are the families we hear about most often that can't find any respite services at all. And I'm wondering, how do you touched on it, Jada, when you talked about some of the skills the volunteers learned in dealing and working with kids with autism, but do you focus on some of that with the volunteers specifically around how to deal with behavioral issues and how are you so successful at that?
That's become you know, a lot more apparent really since the pandemic. And our continued expansion. I think the percentages of children that have difficult behaviors is probably still the same. It's just that we've grown so much that we have so many more children with some behavioral challenges. I think I said maybe before we started though, that we don't see a lot of those behaviors, and that's because we provide such a tight and small ratio. And the children that are with us are here to play. RAVE is play-based. We are, you know, we're a place that they want to come to. We're not therapy. We do support the things that they are working on at home, but we are not kind of enforcing any of those, you know, therapy type rules. And so as long as they are safe, the children around them are safe, then we mostly get to say yes. And so I think that that's probably why we see so much success. And then we do talk a lot about de-escalation and what we do so that we don't have a child that's escalating. So how can we prevent that escalation before it even starts? And so we are very present. We are very hands-on. We are very active. It is a busy 3 hours for our volunteers and our staff, but it's very high quality care.
Do the volunteers go out into the community on the field trips as well with the kids who are in the program?
Yes, they do. So we really strive for a one-to-one out in the community. We were just in July, we were just at the water park, like our first parent on the video said, making her son's trip the 3rd time with RAVE. And he was so into it, 21 years old. And she said she doesn't have the ability to take him and be successful at a place like that. And so we work to pair them up, and they just play. They are kids out in the water park. And they're very capable of doing, you know, those things as long as they have that support right there with them. We're there to really diffuse any situations that might come up.
You also mentioned that you are also taking foster children, and I'm wondering how you've identified them. Do you work with the state to find those kids, and do you have to offer them any special services, and do they also work with the volunteers?
Yes. So we are a partner with Washoe County Department of Social Services, and we require within their registration of our programs, we need to be able to have their foster license and placement letters and all of those things. During COVID, we were the only center that they were allowing children to come to, and they could not be receiving respite anywhere but RAVE. And so we do work very, very closely with them. And we don't share, video or photos or anything like that. Everything has to be approved by parents. And so we do work with them a little bit differently. All of our volunteers sign confidentiality waivers. They know that what's talked about at RAVE cannot be talked about out in the community. That's a big piece of our training as well, just making sure that our kids remain safe at our center. And most recently, we started to work with the post-adoption families, and we have a partnership with post-adoption because respite is the one thing that they feel like they're lacking the most once they adopt their child and they no longer have some of those services. So a child in the foster care system has been given sort of a blanketed special needs diagnosis because they've been removed from their home. And that's what qualifies them for our programs. But not to mention, many of them also have other undiagnosed or diagnosed disabilities as well, and a lot of mental health concerns that fall within that same. Our umbrella is very large.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And then on top of that, you take siblings also.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, sometimes our siblings need us as much or more than the child that qualifies the family, because they require more time and attention by their parents. And so they really are craving that special time and attention here. And we work to have that same ratio with our children that are typically developing. We treat them all the same. So all the kids fall inside that ratio.
Korine, this is Cheryl again. You have one site at a faith-based location. Do you want to talk, this is volunteers and faith-based, maybe talk about how you develop that connection and what the possibility is for expanding to other faith-based communities?
Yeah, in fact, our Carson City facility also started in a faith-based. We were in St. Peter's church in Carson City for almost a year. It was just a very small little church house that they did their child care out of, and had a great little backyard. I will say that I would say churches are probably one of the easiest community partners to work with. Our Rock Church relationship has been going on, gosh, I think for about 6 years now. And not only have they provided us free space, some of the pictures you saw was at the Rock Church. They have an amazing outdoor playground facility. They have the rock climbing wall. Our kids love it there. That actually allows us to serve children from 3 months all the way through 12 years at that location. And so it really serves our RAVE Family Center age group as well as our junior RAVE age group. And we had a meeting with them, and we weren't asking for money. We were just asking for space. And they ended up giving us both. So they make donations to us. They've been incredible partners. And we utilize their space, like Jada had said, on Tuesdays and Saturday afternoons. Really, we could probably do more there. We could do more at other churches. We have a relationship with the Life Church in Reno. We have some families that go to the Grace Church, and we've had conversations there. There's definitely more churches locally that would want to partner with us, but every additional session that we provide takes more staff and more funding. And so those expansions will come. When they will come will be decided on by, the funding as it comes in. We've had a partnership with Nevada Early Intervention Services, and we've used their space as satellite site. We have a partnership with the University of Nevada, Reno, and we've used their space as satellite site. So, COVID hit us a little bit on our satellites. Those spaces were harder to get back open. But now that we're rolling, we shut down with the state of Nevada for the 2 months, I guess, that everybody was really shut down, and RAVE opened back up on May 20th of 2020, and we have been operating as an essential space ever since, and haven't shut down for any reason.
That's great. Well, we do have another question in the chat. Do you have facility transportation, or does staff utilize personal vehicles? How does the transportation work for field trips?
Yeah, so what we do for field trips, we do not have, I dream about a RAVE bus, but we're not there yet. So what we do is we just show up right on site. So if we're going to the bowling alley, our staff is going to go to the bowling alley versus come to our center. And so are the families. They drop off and pick up, and we do a electronic sign in. And so they're signed into our program and signed out from our program on those satellite sites.
That's great. You don't need that when people are going to come to wherever you're going to have the event. So that's wonderful.
It makes it easy, but a bus will be fun one day.
It's true. That's true.
I do have a couple of follow-up faith-based community questions. And we often get asked, how do we make that connection with the faith community, and how do we know who to reach out to? And you mentioned that you've used some of your parents in your program to make those connections. Has that been your primary way of connecting with the faith community?
The one in Carson City, we just had a staff member that just started making calls. We've looked at childcare facilities. When we're going to use someone else's space, it's easier to have something already be preset for us. And then we bring in our extra things. The Rock Church, actually, that relationship was from an intern of ours. And so she did the introduction there. And then I have some relationships with a couple of churches as well. So, RAVE isn't a faith-based program, but, we're filled with a lot of really faithful and kind humans that work for us. And so I think that makes those connections easy.
Are you able to use those faith communities also to recruit volunteers from? Do they help you on the volunteer recruitment side?
That's on our list to go out into their, once school gets going again, then the high school, groups will start back up in our churches, and we will jump in on that for sure.
Thank you. It's great.
Any other questions? I don't see anything popping up in the chat, but
well, I can keep going.
Go ahead, Jill. Yep.
It's like an interview between Cheryl, Jennifer, and me and you guys.
My information in the chat. I am happy to talk with anyone who is interested in talking more. We can jump on private Zoom calls, if there's more specific questions. Cheryl, it's so good to see you. At some point, I'll get back in and with the lifespan respite here. Growth has been, has had its challenges. And so it's kind of pulled me away from some things, but it's really exciting to be here and to be able to share the work that's being done here.
That actually was my question. I was going to ask if you had a relationship with the state's Lifespan Respite Program or with the Nevada Lifespan Respite Care Coalition. Are you a member of the coalition? Or have been? It sounds like you have been.
Yes, I was, but Ricky Robb had our previous executive director of 10 years was really involved with the coalition. I became involved at maybe within 2 years of becoming the executive director, and then maybe right around when COVID hit, it started to kind of rock my world a little bit. So
It's
trying
understandable.
to keep up with everything has been challenging, but it is my goal and my effort is to start to pull away from the operating side of RAVE and really be focusing on the networking side of RAVE.
Wonderful.
Korine and Janet, Jada, is it Jada?
Yeah.
So maybe, is there a sense of how much funding is really needed to get a small satellite up off the ground? And is there a process of recruitment and training prior to, you know, at what point do you say you can open your doors? And kind of just thinking about somebody who would like to maybe replicate this idea and how they would get started. Do you have any sense of that?
Yeah, you know, Elko probably is my best example. I thought that opening Elko, we could do it just like what RAVE was when I came on, you know, 17 years ago. Just a small program. We knew that we didn't want to be a 6-month program because families definitely need us through the summertime. So we rolled out 2 respite sessions a week, and that's probably why it was a little bit challenging to hire staff. Having that small of a job is in a smaller location is hard, because I think maybe it worked here. You know, we don't have the same demographics of staff that work full time and then work one or 2 respite sessions a week, where that's what it was when we were founded. So most of our staff were full time in the community somewhere, and then they would pick up 1 respite session a week. And that was just extra, and that's not really the demographic anymore. And I don't know if that also has to do with COVID a little bit, is that, you know, people kind of have reprogrammed themselves on not overworking and things like that. And so we do have a lot more college students that are this is their only job, but it's still a part-time job. So trying to get open and going in Carson has been a challenge, I think, because you know, not necessarily wanting to work more hours than their typical 40-hour work week, but then not having enough hours for them to come and work really a full part-time job or even a full-time job. So doing it over again, I would definitely be looking at wanting, you know, really wanting to open a full program, having enough time to be able to hire some more full-time staff. It's not 100% accurate, but it costs us about $1,000 to $1,500 for every child that we're serving for a year of respite. The breakdown is approximately $25 per respite session, and we serve about 20 children per session, so that is about $500. And so our outings have varied. Everything's gotten a little bit more expensive. So I would say that you would need about between $500 and $1,000 for every respite session that you're providing. And that will also depend on how many people are in sort of your upper management. So obviously those costs begin to raise, and we've added additional upper management staff over the last couple of years, and that's where our budget had really, you know, changed and been affected. And so I think it's sort of you know, it's hard to give an exact price point, but that's a good approximate number. Would be between $500 and $1,000 for every respite session, or looking at that $1,000 to $1,500 per child served for a year of respite. Our year of respite is approximately 3 respite sessions per month, and we usually offer up to 4 respite sessions per month. We don't charge our families for the services. We are looking at maybe charging for just an enrollment fee, because that, you know, helps with some of the back end stuff, which is a lot of extra work as well.
Are you able to draw down any Medicaid funds for kids that might be eligible?
We probably can, but you know how Medicaid funds, that will add us a whole new staff to help to be navigating all of that. So that is not an avenue of funding that we have really started to look into, though it is on our list as we continue to expand. At this time, though, we don't charge any type of, you know, service for that, like even outside services. It is free. We write grants, we fundraise all year long to make it happen.
Tell me how you think you would be faring if you didn't have the number of volunteers that you have to support your staff, especially in the middle of this direct care workforce crisis that everybody is facing. It sounds like the volunteer component is incredibly important to maintaining what you do.
It's extremely important. I think Jada can talk about that, since I've been talking a lot, but she can go into that a little bit in greater depth.
Our volunteers, we like to call them the magic of RAVE. RAVE is not RAVE without our volunteers. They provide such a beautiful element that staff alone can't do. Sessions that have 10 volunteers versus sessions that have 2 volunteers are astronomically different. They just provide this overwhelming joy just to play and just to see them also take a breather. There's moments where our volunteers come in and they're like, oh, I'm not a student right now, I'm just here to hang out. And so we really can't do what we do unless we have the amount of volunteers that we have. And it's so awesome because a lot of them just fall in love with our program and fall in love with our kids. And so they're here loving and just sharing their joy and happiness and kindness for the 3 hours. So it's not like we're trying to get like people into the building. They want to be here and they love being here and they keep coming back. And so having them, it's a whole different experience. The energy in the room is just lifted. Everyone's having fun. Everyone's playing. Everyone's just making these little memories with each other. And so it's really beautiful to have as many as we have. We couldn't do it without them. Absolutely.
But with that being said, like sometimes we do it without them. So so that can be done. So if you're, you know, in an area and you're like, what if we can't get enough volunteers? Yeah, we've been there too. And that's why what really helped us define like what is our ratio, and we're ever changing in what that looks like. And so working on trying to define, because some children have a smaller ratio than others because of what their needs are. And so just, you know, having enough hands, the experience itself is the best when we have volunteers, but we can still provide the care and give the parents the break without the volunteers. So so it goes a little bit both ways. Definitely wouldn't recommend it. The volunteers, like Jada said, they are the magic. They are absolutely incredible, and they make every respite session more impactful and really a better experience for everybody, staff included. And so we would highly recommend having the volunteers. And the youth are incredible. They're incredible humans.
In terms of your college interns, do you have a relationship then with any higher education institutions that are near you? And are you, this is a kind of a follow-up question, are you able to use any of them with in-home services? You talked about a respite voucher. reimbursement program, especially for your kids who are medically complex. Are you able to use any of those college interns to possibly do any in-home respite for those that can't get to the center?
Yeah, so we do work closely with the University of Nevada, Reno. We also have some interns that come from our junior college here, Truckee Meadows Community College. Primarily though, UNR, and we've been getting a lot of social work interns, and social work interns are amazing because they actually need an entire year of interning. And so that's really special because we get to train them fully, and then we hold on to them. We often hire them. We don't provide in-home respite, but we also don't say no if they're interested in meeting some of our staff. We don't encourage volunteers to provide babysitting or anything like that. It happens sometimes if the family knows the volunteer. There's some stories back from when we didn't put that in our handbook, and we, our students are under the supervision of our staff all of the time. And so what we believe, they're amazing, but that doesn't, they're still high school students, they're still junior high students, and they still make dumb decisions sometimes. And so we don't cross share in that way, but our college interns and our staff, if staff or families are looking for a home provider, we will ask our staff if they are looking to provide home care, and then we will introduce them and they can interview them. With our voucher program, they pay for someone to care for their child, and then we simply help with those costs on the back end. So once they submit that voucher, they've already paid for that service, right, and we are just reimbursing them. And so that's how we work with that. But we do have, we are on a list of several different college groups that are looking for internships inside programs such as ours. We have some kids leaving. So. Bye, guys.
So we know the the need is so great. Do you have a waiting list, or have you ever had a waiting list? And how do you determine that and who can participate?
Well, that's a loaded question. We hate the word a waiting list.
Yes.
Bye. We have never said that we have a wait list. It's very gray because some of our families will use us once a month, and some of our families will use us as many times as we allow them to use us. And so it allows us to reach more families in reality than what it looks like on paper. And so until we are turning families away and not providing them the amount of sessions that we offer, as well as what they desire, is when we'll determine if we have to have a wait list. So right now we do not have one. We have been teetering on, do we start a wait list, and when does that look? So at any given time, we will be in a position to do that. Our newest mission, though, is to never turn a family away that is coming to us in need of a break. And so we are continuously working to develop ourselves enough to be able to say yes to that family that's coming through our door. We're really passionate about that. And so, our hope is that the funding will continue to come. There's the faith part of it, right? Is that for somehow, some way, we continue to reach all the families that are coming to us. And really that's our hope, is that we continue to do that. And if we do have to have a wait list, we will immediately be asking our community to support us so that that wait list does not stay.
No, that's great. That's great. And yeah, wait list that's definitely a loaded word, but I think that makes sense the way you handle it, and really responding to the needs and the wants of the family, because they may not want or need, the total amount that you can offer them. So that's great.
We encourage families to use us once a month, and we offer 4 times a month. So we really encourage our families to at least come in and take 1 3-hour break per month.
Excellent. Great. Any more questions?
One might have just come in through the chat. I'm not sure.
Oh, I think that was Jill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, we did have a question. One question come in. What time of day do you offer? And I think pretty much almost every time of day, it sounds like.
Yeah, we have our morning sessions operate from 10 to 1, and then our PM sessions operate from 5:30 to 8:30, and then our Saturday evenings are 3 to 6. So kind of a variety, mainly towards the late nights or the early mornings.
Because we really encourage our families not to work during their respite time, we do have it set up that way on purpose, that we are primarily the weekend or evenings and weekends. But I was sharing before everyone got to get on that we have a story of a family that's the mom was going to lose her job last summer because her son was kicked out of a summer program. And they came to us, and her employer said that she could come in 1 day a week for 3 hours and then work remotely the rest of the time. And her response to our survey this year was that she was able to keep her job because of RAVE and the care that we were able to provide to her son on a regular basis so that she could get into the office. And we did make special arrangements that he came every single week so that she could have that time in the office. And we make special arrangements a lot. Based on the child's needs, based on the family's needs. And we really do try to be very, very flexible, which is also kind of unheard of in, in a business or an organization. I think that that's why we're successful in what we do, though, is that we meet our families exactly where they are and what they are needing. And we do the best to really give them the care that they need at the time.
That's just wonderful. Well, we just have a few minutes left on the Learning Collaborative meeting time. Is there any further questions that anybody has?
Or if you have a quick update about your program or volunteer respite service you support that you'd like to share now, that would be wonderful. I'm sorry I hogged so much of the time with questions and didn't leave enough time for sharing at the end.
No, Jill, I think you asked a lot of questions that people had in their minds. So well, I am not seeing anything and nobody seems to be unmuting. So
if you want to let us know of any ideas you have for future sessions, please feel free to email me or Jennifer and let us know, and we will try to follow up on where your interests are. We also hope that you got a lot out of today's presentation, and we're just so glad to have Jennifer with us, and she'll be able to help us organize future sessions. And I wanted to give a special huge thank you to Korine and to Jada. That was a fabulous presentation about a fabulous program. And again, I encourage you, like as I do with all of you out there who have your own volunteer and faith-based programs, please consider applying for recognition by ARCH as an innovative and exemplary respite service. And we'll be sending you all information about the application once it's open on September 1st.
Thank you so much for having us. This was amazing.
thank you guys. We appreciate your time and that you put into making the presentation and your time here today, just getting the word out about your great services you provide. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think we're all set, and we will see everybody next time. It would be in October, correct, Jill? Is the next one?
I think so.
We'll be sending out an invite to make sure that everybody's invited.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody.
Good afternoon, everybody.
You too. That was my day.